president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. If you don't say we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
What you call a police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. If you don't say we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
What you call a police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. If you don't say we have several more stories.
the legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
What you call a police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to Global Morning.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. If you don't say we have several more stories.
the legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
What you call a police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome.
What a great day it is to be alive and to thank God for His faithfulness. Thanking Him for bringing us thus far. Today is Sunday, the 16th day of February 2025. And of course, this is one day that we will always celebrate. It's a Thanksgiving of love for most churches out there. And also it is a season of, is it Sunday, to also preach the gospel by extension of Saint Valentine to all and sundry. And so looking at Sunday as one of those days for spiritual activities, being of whatever proclivity of religions that you fall, whichever divide of religion you fall into, be it a Christian, be it a Muslim, be it the traditional worshippers, whatever. Sunday is that day where we all agree that we must at least give our time and commitment to some form of a spiritual edification for us to praise God and be able to appreciate God for how far He has brought us as a people. Alright, so before we even delve into the Sunday's conversation, let's look at yesterday what happened in Katsina local government elections. And we saw President Muhammadu Buhari, the former president of Nigeria. We saw President Muhammadu Buhari cast his vote in the ongoing Katsina local government elections. Buhari arrived at the polling unit at about 11:09 a.m. and voted at polling unit 003 in Sankilian Ward A in his hometown in Daura. The former president was accompanied by the State Commissioner for Special Duties, and also a lot of dignitaries were able to accompany the former president of Nigeria. Notably, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the New Nigerian People Party, NNDP, boycotted the election. This will give the All Progressive Congress, the APC, which is the ruling party in the state, to have a large dominance even on local government affairs. Now we hope to see more robust outings in elections, economy within the primary levels of the elections and also within the local strata of an electionary process. But interestingly, we've seen that the former president of Nigeria always come out to show statesmanship, always come out to give support for democratic process and democratic procedures. We've seen him do all of this and even more. At least I forgot to also state this categorically. Well, it is to also note that the Katsina election is not just an election for electionary year, turning the year, the election calendar here. No, it is also one election that also it's determined to boost the state and take the state to its next height, especially within the local government level. We've seen a lot of improvement in Katsina state over the last decade. We've seen a lot of improvement, and we hope that this election for local government elections will also be able to add value to this. Why is this so? This is because the local government autonomy has come to stay, and of course whoever emerge as the local government chairman of Katsina State will automatically will be receiving the monthly allocations, and whatever they promise the people, they will be able to implement, discharge their primary responsibility, which is to be the government of the grassroots. Now, this is very interesting. Now, when this happens, we begin to see the three tiers of government: the federal government, the state government, and the local government begin to align their thoughts together. We see them begin to play out and see how they can marry ideas together. What the state needs to do, they need to marry those stuff alongside with the local government chairman. So it will be more of a master-servant relationship again. And we're seeing that play out in Katsina State, which is going to be the beginning of this whole scenario. Now, we will have a situation where the state will be dictating to the local government. Now, this is kudos to President Bola Tinubu, who has ensured that full autonomy for local government is in place. Not surprising that we saw former President Muhammadu Buhari coming out to show support and solidarity for the electionary process. Of course, he has been able to set a precedent of good, credible, and successful elections. And of course, we've seen him come out to show this much solidarity again and over and over and over. Interesting to know that former President Muhammadu Buhari has never missed an election even in Katsina State. When we see him come out, sometimes because he's a statesman, the spirit of sportsmanship and they always give him that precedence to always cast his vote first. But most times you want to see him join the queue, want to see him go through the process, get himself thumbprinted and his hand marked and all of this process. This is kudos to our democracy, and also as we grow, we hope that other statesmen learn also. We also take a cue from what former President Muhammadu Buhari has been doing even in his states. Now, also there's a very interesting story, and that is a story of the NNPC that have come out to say, hey, our fuel is not substandard. Now, that's very interesting conversation. Now, NNPC denies selling substandard product. Don't forget, recall that somebody tweeted and said that he bought fuel at a filling station, NNPC filling station, and went ahead to buy the same fuel at I think MIS filling station. So the NNPC filling station fuel lasted for about 17 minutes, while that of the MIS, which is being supplied by Dangote, was lasted for about 33 minutes. Now you can calculate the difference in time. NNPC has come out to say that in the statement it issued yesterday, it's the spokesperson Olufemi Sonaya. The NNPC said it was reacting to a viral video claiming that its petrol does not last long in fuel tanks. This report has surfaced even online. Like I mentioned earlier, this was in Lagos where somebody made that allegation, and of course NNPC has come out to debunk it. But then there is no smoke without fire, and what we begin to ask at this point in time, NNPCL, if it's correct that the filling station or the fuel that the customer bought evaporated in no given time, looking at 17 minutes, we don't know how many liters of fuel that he got, but then he came out to say authoritatively that the fuel evaporated. It literally disappeared in a space of 17 minutes, while that of MRS lasted for 33 minutes. Now, this is a litmus test for the NNPCL to go back to its drawing board. Of course, I would have said that the NNPCL should come out to outright debunk this particular statement. I think that first, if this be the case, then let's have an open investigation. Let's have a litmus test. Let's have an open confrontation. Let me say that, okay, please, can you categorically state where the filling station you got the fuel from, and at what time did you get the fuel? So we can all have, if you say your fuel is credible, your fuel does not evaporate, your fuel is reliable, and your fuel is not substandard. Of course, let's get back to a filling station. Let's do the same test again, pour the same container of, because what I'm saying is not just, this person might have the boldness to come out to speak, but Nigerians in their large numbers have been hiding under the box, not talking, and not even coming out to speak on this particular discourse. But this really calls for concern, great concern at that. We'll go for a short break right, and when we come back, we'll be delving into the newspaper review. Please go nowhere as Global Morning continues in a moment.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues,
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed. Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Welcome back, and just in case you just joined us, this is a Global Morning Weekend edition, and my name is Godwin Sunday. We begin with the newspaper review, starting with Sunday's Punch, where we have Not Divided as a big story. Says Not Divided over Tinubu's re-election as leaders take sides. It has by its readers captures its rider, captures core Northerners rally against president, hints at new movement. Minority groups back Tinubu. You can go pick that on Punch, Sunday's Punch, and you can find that story on page 3 of the Sunday's Punch. And by the side of the big story, you have President unfair in treatment of Aregbesola, ex-governors group chair Adesaji has made that statement, and you can find that story on page 9 of the Punch newspaper. Alright, so following that story, we have 2 Lagos police arrested as car dealer lies in custody. As car dealer dies in custody, dies in custody. You can check that story out on the page. You can check that story out also on page 6 of Sunday's Punch. You can also find the story of husband of female soldier have no power over them, retired major, has come out to say that husbands of female soldiers have no power over them. This is from a retired major. So you can find that story on page 24 of the Sunday's Punch. Alright, so at the top here we have the USAID calls for probe spread over alleged Boko Haram funding. You can call for probe over alleged Boko Haram funding. You can find that on page 4 of the Punch newspaper. Also, you can find the NNPCL Dangote refinery trade words over alleged substandard fuel. You can find that story. You can take a read on that story on page 3 of Sunday's Punch newspaper. Also, we have a story down here below the title bar. You can have 190 days darkness. Our UCH doctors attend to patients with torchlight. That's a university teaching hospital attend to patient with torchlight. That's very interesting. And you can find that story on page 16 and page 17 of the Punch. Alright, we have Kwara Claric, this member's 25-year-old Facebook girlfriend. Okay, you can find that story on page 6. And lastly, on the Punch newspaper, you will find FG6 fresh $300 million health security loan from World Bank. You can find that story also and more stories on the Punch newspaper this morning. So get punchy, go out there and hit it. Now you get the stories that make your day. You find all of these stories and more even on the Punch newspaper. But for me, we've discussed about the NNPC refinery and also that of Dangote earlier on today. But then you can go get the papers and get Dangote's own side of the story even on the Punch newspaper. Go out there and grab yourself a copy and take a read. Alright, we'll delve into the Nation's newspaper with a big story. PDP crisis. Police probe alleged forgery of party's constitution. PDP's crisis. Police probe alleged forgery of party's constitution, and it has a rider. South Zonal Secretary suspended over unauthorized statements. And also another rider says former Kaduna Governor Yero, ex-senators, others dump PDP, joins APC. I have a rider also that says defections from party driven by stomach infrastructure, Tambua. You can find that story and more on the Nation's newspaper. Alright, also so we have on the top of the paper we have Nigeria leads push for African Credit Rating Agency at AU Summit. You can find that story on page 7 of the Nation's newspaper. Also you find a story of ICPC 6 forfeiture of 1.3 billion for Kaduna Light Rail. You can find that story on page 27 of the Nation's newspaper. And that story also has a rider that says 11 billion naira wired into a company's account in January 2017, but firm registered with CAC in May. Now that's controversial. But you find that story, you can take a read on that story on the Nation's newspaper. Like I said, you can find that story on page 37 of the Nation's newspaper. Alright, so we go down, we find also Binance executive. Of course, this story is not going anywhere anytime soon because of course the FG have come out to say that you have to ignore what the Binance executive has said, accusing lawmakers, but then it is what it is right now. Who's saying the truth, who's not saying the truth? Well, we can't authoritatively say that on the statement. But let's take a look at what the Nation's newspaper has. It says Binance executive insists on bribery allegation. It has a rider. It has a rider here that says allegations desperate attempts to deflect from Binance legal rules. Okay, so it says allegation is to divert our attention from the core of the matter. But you can take a look at it on the Nation's newspaper and you get more of that insight. Alright, we have also a big story also. Basa heads to court with a removal as Lagos Speaker. Now that's quite interesting. And lastly, we have dismembered body of choir student found in home of Facebook friend. You can find that on page 2 of the Nation's newspaper. Let's go straight to the Guardian newspaper. What does the Guardian weekend have for us this morning? The big story here says exit of unrepentant, a voice rights activist, political advocate. Now that's for Adebanjo Ayo, who died recently. It was born in 1928 and died year 2025. You can find that story on page 9. Now, of course, it's the big story on the Weekend Guardian. Also, you can find the story of Yoruba Muslim task Tinubu on fairness, inclusion in political appointment. You can find that story on page 34 of the Guardian newspaper. And also you can find a story of when Governor Abdulrazak silenced opposition with inauguration of Legacy Project. You want to find out about Governor Abdulrazak's Legacy Project. You can find that story and more on page 36 of the Guardian newspaper. And of course, not forgetting that you can find also the story of Ayo Adebanjo, which is the big story on that paper. Alright, so let's move on to Weekend Trust. We have the big story here. $150 million bribe. Binance official accuses 3 lawmakers. Now, you can find out with a rider that says NSA demanded crypto worth billions. And also we have a rider that says allegation false, FG. Aggressor Akpanke calls for proof. Alright, so that is legal. If whoever asserts must prove, they must prove beyond reasonable doubt and not beyond the shadows of doubt. So we hope to get proof from what has been alleged. Alright, we have the story here also which says Quran Convention postponed indefinitely. Quran Convention, which is slated to hold on the 22nd of February, has been postponed indefinitely. You want to find out the reason why the Quran Convention has been postponed? You can take a look at the Weekend Trust on page 26 of the Weekend Trust and get more on that story. We have the story also of Kannywood is here to stay. Rabiu Daushi has said that Kannywood has come to stay. That is the Hausa wind of the Nollywood have come to stay. And you can find that story on page 21 of the Weekend Trust. Alright, so we have Tinubu Obasanjo Buhari names as Adebanjo dies at 96. You can find that story on page 5. And you can find a very big animated story here which says GIS dispute over land titles persists despite computerization. You can find that story and more on the Weekend Trust. You can also find the story of 23 die, 48 injured in Kano auto crash. Find that story on page 25 of the Trust newspaper. You can also find USAID funded Boko Haram or the terror organization US Congressman Avanesh. You find that story on page 25 of the paper. Now let's even look at more interesting paper this morning, and we have the Nation's newspaper again has captured, like we said, it was, let's look at the Nation's newspaper, which says that FG lawmakers kick over Biden's executive $100 billion claims. Also, we have that story and more. You can check that out also. Alright, so let's look at some of the stories that we have again from the Sunday Independent newspaper. On the Sunday's Independent newspaper, we have the big story: oil exploration. FG moves to return to Ogoni faces hurdles. Oil exploration. FG's move to return to Ogoni faces hurdles. I can find that story on page 2 on the Sunday Independent. That's the big story. Alright, you can also find a story by the top right. I found a story, the top left, I beg your pardon. You find a story of NNPC and refutes misleading claims in viral video. You can find that story on page 7. A local government financial autonomy good omen. You can find that's by Governor Rada. I've come out to say that local government autonomy is a good omen. Now you can find that story on page 5 of the Independent newspaper, Sunday Independent. The human rights under Tinubu has been mixed bag. Human rights has been a mixed bag under President Bola Tinubu. You can find that story on page 19 of the paper. Pa Ayo Adebanjo only celebrates passage of a true Yoruba leader. You can find the Onis celebration of Pa Ayo Adebanjo's life and time. You can find that story on page 4 of the Independent paper. Not forgetting that you also find South Zone of PDP suspends secretary over alleged misconduct. You find that story on page 6. You also find the story of FG military draw flag over terrorist de-radicalization policy. You can find that story on page 3. FG military draw flag over terrorist de-radicalization policy. You can find that story on page 3 of the Independent newspaper. Alright, we also have a story here that Nigerians alarmed by CBN hike in ATM charges, and as a rider that says action will cause more hardship. We have a rider here that say want NAS to prevail on Apex Bank to drop policy. Alright, lastly, on the Independent newspaper this morning, we have Nnamdi Kanu's trial, a charade, says Igbo leaders. Igbo leaders have come out to say that Nnamdi Kanu's trial is a charade, and we hope to see, if you want to get more on that conversation, you need to quickly go out there and grab a copy of the Sunday Independent. Alright, let's go to the Sunday Times. The Sunday Times here says Sokoto fire incidents consume 558 ballot boxes, other materials, INEC. Now that's an interesting read. You need to go out there and grab a copy and take a read on that story. Said Sokoto fire incident consumed 558 ballot boxes. Other materials, INEC. Alright, so INEC have come out to say that the incident of the fire outbreak in Sokoto has consumed 558 ballot boxes. Other materials, what other materials are, you want to find out, go out there and get yourself a copy of the Sunday Times and find out for yourself what the orders mean. Alright, so we move up to the far right where we have Oni's wife, Bauchi's first lady, donates delivery kit to nursing mothers. You want to see the delivering kit, you have to check. Go read, take a read on page 2 of the Sunday Times newspaper. Also, we have a read here that says holds individual members responsible over Binance bribery allegations. Reps. Okay, so reps have come out to say hold individual members responsible for Binance allegations. So you find that story on page 4 of the Sunday Times. Alright, we have FG commits 1.57 trillion to Development Commission. FG commits 1.57 trillion to development commissions. You want to find out the breakdown of that 1.57 trillion naira on development commission. You can take a read on that story on page 2 of the Sunday Times newspaper. Not forgetting we have also ministry backs bill to protect domestic workers' wife. You can find that story also on page 2 of the Sunday Times. No grid collapse since this year. TCN has come out to brag that there have not been any form of grid collapse since the beginning of this year. You want to find out what has improved, what has been done, and what is causing this so magnificent progress in terms of non-grid collapse for the last couple of days into year 2025. You can take a read on that story on page 4 of the Sunday Times. Not forgetting that you can also take a read on FCT will commission many projects at Tinubu's second anniversary. Wiki has come out to say that hey, FCT will commission more projects at Tinubu's second anniversary. Well, you can take a read on that story on page 2 of the Sunday Times, and it's a very interesting read. Just go out there and grab yourself a copy, give yourself a good tea, and take a read on those stories. Of course, you will be amazed on what is going on in the FCT and what the FCT minister is currently doing to ensure that to guarantee the lives, safety of the lives of, ensure that to guarantee that the lives of residents of the Federal Capital Territory is safe, to guarantee that the properties are protected, to guarantee the security is a top-notch priority for residents within and around the Federal Capital Territory. You want to see what has been achieved, what is going on, and what has been commissioned. You need to take a read on that story and see what's on the highlight. Hopefully, by May, on May 29th, we'll be seeing the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We'll be seeing him commission more projects every year in the FCT, and Minister Wiki have come out to say that a lot of projects will be commissioned. If you want to see those stories, go grab a copy and begin to read through to see what is being done, what has been done and what is still being done within the FCT. Now, the last read for on the newspaper review before we call it a wrap on this segment and talk about other pressing issues is the Blueprint newspaper. The Blueprint newspaper, it captures here that the big story here said Nigerians worried as lecturers, others raised the alarm over reliance on AI. Nigerians worried as lecturers, others raised the alarm over reliance on AI. It has a rider here that says it makes students dependent, less analytical academics. Another rider says students no longer think critically. Professor Ila Maka have come out to say that although AI can provide quality education in remote areas, BBC have said, and that as a last rider here, it says it makes academic materials more accessible for us. You can take a look on the pros and cons of this AI and its effects, and where professors, academicians stands and where the students stand on that conversation. You can take a read on that story on page 8 and page 9 of the Blueprint Weekend, and you find out more on that story. Now we have a story here that says Tinubu pays tribute to late Pa Adebanjo, says Nigeria lost a political leader. You can take a read on that story. You find that story on page 19 of the Blueprint newspaper. Not forgetting that we have a story here, the entertainment column, which says family declares Chibaba missing, 6 DSS intervention. Alright, you can find that story on page 10 of the Blueprint Weekend. Alright, let's beneath the story. We have a very interesting read here where we have Bears return as equity market dips by 700 billion naira. Bears return as equity market dips by 700 billion naira. Alright, you want to understand about the Nigerian stock exchange market, what it means to have a bear, what it means to have a bull, and what it means to be a speculator in the markets, the bull, the bears, and the stocks. Now, if you want to understand all of those terminologies, you want to understand how the market keeps fluctuating, how the market is appreciating currently right now, how the market is currently affecting our economic policies, and that of the government initiative on economic grounds. You can take a read on that story and see how the economy dips, how the market dips by 700 billion. Now that's quite high. You need to take a read on that story and know what's going on economically in the country. Go take a read on that story once again. Now, we have a story here that says BK reaffirms timely completion of ongoing projects. We talked about that in the other papers, but you can take a read on this and to know more about what the projects are. Alright, we have last but not the least, we have a story here that says 22 perish, 48 injured in Kano underpass auto crash. You can take a look at that story. And last but not the least, young Nigerian politicians to watch out for in 2027 and beyond. You want to know the young Nigerian politicians to look out for in 2027 and beyond. You need to grab a copy of the Blueprint Weekend to know what is going on and who to look out for. Is to look out for A, B, and C on the ballot. You need to know who to look out for, who is already giving us a green light on the political space. I think these are more on the Blueprint. You need to go out there, grab yourself a copy. And that is the size of the newspaper review here on Global TV. We'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking more issues. Please stay with us as Global Morning continues in a moment.
your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
A Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper reviews and latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed. Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
Welcome back. Now let me give you a little gist. Let's call this a little gossip, but it's not more of a gossip because the video is out there. But let's look at this issue. This is the issue of veteran Nigerian musician Two-Face Idibia has been spotted in the newly surfaced photo shopping for Valentine's hair with his rumored new love interest Natasha, despite recent claim by his family that he had gone missing. The photo, which has been making rounds online, shows the singer and Natasha at a hair shop seemingly unbothered by the controversy surrounding his whereabouts. This comes shortly after Two-Face mother publicly expressed a disapproval of his new relationship, emphasizing that his divorce process with Annie Idibia had not yet been finalized. Furthermore, reports emerged that the family had petitioned the Department of State Service, DSS, alleging that the music star had gone missing. However, the latest image contradicts the claim, as Two-Face appears relaxed while shopping with Natasha. The photo had since sparked mixed reactions online, with some fans criticizing the singer for moving on too quickly, while others argue that he has a right to his personal choice. Now, this is the where of the conversation now even begin. Now, in case you're not aware, let me bring you the details of what's actually happened. Recently, Two-Face Idibia, the veteran Nigerian musician, filed for a divorce on Annie, and that's his wife, and Annie Idibia. And while the divorce is yet to go through, we saw Two-Face moving quickly to the arms of another woman, which has been identified as Natasha, and she is an honorable member in the Edo State House of Assembly. Now, to make the drama more dramatic, to make the scenes more explicit and more complex, if you like to use that word, we saw Two-Face mother coming out to say, giving a disapproval to some relationship with Natasha, and subsequently another drama played out, and the drama that played out, we saw Two-Face family coming out to also report and petition the Department of State Service, DSS, saying that their son, the veteran music icon, is missing. But in all of this drama, we've seen Two-Face appear in two public outings right now. The first one was allegedly seen in the Edo State House of Assembly, and right now is allegedly seen by the video making the rounds in a window shopping, and yet we said he's missing, and the family, although the mom has come out to give a disapproval. Now, this is where the gist now gets interesting. Now, if the family is saying that Tubaba is missing, and the video making the ground. We've seen Chubaba looking a bit relaxed. He's enjoying himself and he's not looking tense. Are we not missing out on something at this point? Secondly, if we know where Two-Face is, which is allegedly the way he is, because we've seen him in a Edo State, so it's easy for one to say, okay, he should be in the comfort of Natasha, as we allegedly said. But then let's look at it. If that be the case, I think the family should make a swift move to go to meet Natasha and perhaps to compel her to please release their beloved son, other than coming out on the social media space to fight this war. Now, while fans are saying that Two-Face moved on too quickly, others have also argued that Two-Face move was timely. That is, if he doesn't move on quickly, be held down by depression, and this will lead to other complex medical situation. Now, I don't know the side of the divide that you fall into, but let's look at this critically and talk about this rate of divorce in Nigerian entertainment industry. It's really worrisome, the rate at which the divorce cases are rising. One we want to attribute this to fame, but then they're already famous. One want to attribute this to wealth. These entertainers are wealthy. One want to attribute this to other factors, but we've seen that these entertainers are above average. So why the high rate of divorce? And somebody have allegedly said that the rate of divorce among the high and mighty, among the in-class, among the upper class of the society is more than that of the lower cabal of the society. In other words, the rate of divorce tend to be high in urban communities other than rural communities. So what would have been the cause for the high rate of divorce? Now let's tie this back to Two-Face Idibia's own case at this point in time. Two-Face is a fulfilled artist. He's an accomplished artist, and what would have warranted Two-Face to come out to file for divorce? And that things that we don't know at this point. Now we've seen a lot of online in-laws coming out to talk about the angles to this conversation, but we don't have all the details in our hands, so we can't rightly say it is either here or here. But we've seen clips on Two-Face social media handle where he has come out to say, hey, I'm filing for divorce. But what is the story behind the divorce? Perhaps this will lead us to knowing why other celebrities are celebrity marriages are not holding up the waters, why celebrity marriages are not standing the test of time, and by extension we can have that conversation and begin to help other up and coming celebrities to be able to fix their unions, fix their home, and set the right precedent that marriage is not something that you walk in with an expectation and a mindset to work out. It is a blissful union. It is a blissful celebration. It is a good thing that God in His infinite mercy has designed for production, productivity, for harmony, for upbringing, and for love sharing. So we can be able to sell this message to as many up and coming young people that are even aspiring to be a celebrity. Like, let's use the word a wannabe celebrity. So let's even get the full angle of it. So I said, let me just bring this to your notice that Chubaba has been spotted. It's a gist, by the way. So he has been spotted in the window shopping in Edo State, in the confines of Natasha. This is just a gist. So let me bring it to your notice. Since today is Sunday, what better time it is to talk about pressing issues and also bring you gist conversations here on Global Weekend. I am Godwin Sunday, and this is how far we can go this morning. I believe so much that you've had a fulfilled time with us, 1 hour, having conversation, the headline reviews, and looking at pertinent issues across the country. Well, don't forget that Global Morning will return back to you sometime tomorrow, where we will be starting up with other pressing conversation. The conversation on Global Morning never ends. Don't forget that you can join the conversation on our various social media handle currently displayed on the screen. And always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. I am Godwin Sunday. From all of us here on the Global Morning crew, it is bye for now.